Welcome to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Here's your host, Mary Gaida.
Welcome back to 517 In Your Business. I'm Mary Gaida, back today with Steve Sinas, and we're talking about an event that feels very Lansing. It's outdoors, it's family friendly, it's free, it's built about preventing something that can change a child's life in an instant. It gives me goosebumps because we've talked about this so many times, and it's such a relevant event, and it's called Lids for Kids. It's a free bike helmet fitting and giveaway. Happens in May, this month, right here in Lansing. We're going to talk about what families can expect, why helmet fit really matters, and how this event connects to Sinas Dramus Law Firm's 75-year commitment to the greater Lansing community. Stephen Sinas, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here to talk about this event. It is a special event to our firm, and also we'd like to thank to the Lansing community.
I know what Lids for Kids is, but for someone hearing about it for the first time, talk to me about what it is and why the firm has made it such a priority.
Yeah, well, in its most basic sense, Lids for Kids is an event where we give away hundreds of bike helmets to children in our community. We do it because we know the difference bike helmets can make if a child is ever in a bicycle accident. We represent people who have sustained brain injuries in bike accidents. And when they have a helmet, it makes a huge difference in terms of whether it's a mild brain injury versus a catastrophic brain injury. So this is our 23rd year doing this event, and we're so happy to do it again because it's furthering the mission to protect children and their brains while they're riding a bicycle, but it's also turned into a great community event, and so we look forward to it every year.
Yeah, it is such a great event. What's the date this year? Where can we find you? And talk me through what actually happens at the event.
So here's a really important piece of information for anyone listening to this who's ever attended Lids for Kids. It is at a new location this year. It is taking place Saturday, May 16th from 10 a.m. to noon at Francis Park in Lansing, which is in the Morris River Drive area. You can Google Francis Park. You drive up to the park. There's a couple of different ways of getting there. There'll be some signs directing people where to park and how to get to the event. But we decided to do it at Francis Park because it's a bigger space. It's a very nice park.
It is.
But for years we've been doing it at the Marshall Street Fire Station on the completely other side of town. So I want everyone to understand we got a new location, Francis Park, and we're looking forward to that being a great new location for this event.
Yeah, Francis Park is beautiful. So you could go to the event, maybe take a walk after through the park and maybe see some signs of spring blooming. And it's got a great parking too. So that's a great choice, Francis Park. So what's the atmosphere like, and what do the kids and parents actually get to do during this event?
So let me take this opportunity to respond to that question and acknowledge all the partners we have with this event. And I just have a list here. I just think I should read it because I'm so grateful for all these groups coming together and helping support the event. We have Ambrose Case Management. We have Big B Coffee, Capital Area District Libraries, Capital City Family BMX, Children and Family Charities, Chris Cornwell, he's our balloon twister. We have Ellie's Place. We have iCycle that's going to help with the bike fitting and adjustments of people's bikes. We have Fenner Nature Center, Lansing Fire Department, Lansing School District, League of Enchantment characters coming in to
nice.
Give the kids some entertainment in their costumes. We have Mary Freebed Rehabilitation Center helping with the event. We have Men Making a Difference. That's an organization here in Lansing. Michigan Professional Investigations, Michigan State Police, Origami, Reach Studio Arts Center, the Reading People and Capital Area Literacy Coalition, and the Todd Martin Youth Leadership Program. We also have Whittle 100.7 FM doing some on-site broadcasting, and we even have Siobhan Klepper from WLNS as our master of ceremonies, if you will.
Wonderful.
So I just wanted to give all those people recognition, and then getting back to the atmosphere. As you can see, there's going to be all these different groups there supporting the event. We have obviously places where you can get your bike helmet. So the first thing to do is to register and get your bike helmet. And then you can get some balloons from Chris Cornwell, the balloon twister. We have vendors there giving away various pieces of swag, as they say.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with safety. We have stickers that kids can get for their helmets. We also give away several bikes. We're giving away about 20 bikes. And the way that works is when you register coming into the event, your name gets put into a raffle. And you can, if you stay for the event, and one of the key rules is you have to keep your helmet on while the raffle is going on. As long as you
Love
have your
it.
helmet on and your name gets drawn, you might get a free bike. So we
Wow.
have about 20 kids every year that not only go home with a free helmet, but also a free bike.
That's amazing. And so much community support, which says something to this event. It's been going on for a long time, and that support I know really means something. And League of Enchantment, by the way, that's worth the trip alone. They're so
Right.
fun. And the kids
And,
absolutely love it.
and the list of partners this year is longer than ever. And we like to think that that is a reflection of the event, its success, and the fact that it truly is about community. So we're
Yeah.
so happy and grateful to have so many partners this year.
Absolutely. And I'm excited about that bike drawing. So that brings us to the right helmet fit and why it matters so much. I think a lot of people might assume that having any helmet is better than none.
Yeah, well, I think that probably it's true that it's better to have a helmet on your head, no matter how it's fit, than no helmet. But actually, if your helmet is wrongly fitted, it can cause problems. It can fall off your head. The strap can get wrapped around your neck. But most importantly, if it's not fitted properly, it's not going to do its job in terms of protecting your head.
Hmm.
So we don't only give away the bike helmets. We have volunteers, so many people who work at our firm and work at these other businesses who are partnering with us. We have volunteers there to make sure that the helmet is adjusted properly and it's the right size, and the kid knows how to put it on and make sure it's fitting properly. And that makes all the difference in terms of whether the helmet's actually going to protect the child from a brain injury.
And I'm sure if the child is comfortable, they're more likely to keep the helmet on.
That's right. And some kids think that helmets are really uncomfortable, but when they realize that they can adjust them, and maybe they have to move their hair around if they have longer hair, whatever it
Hmm.
is, we have many kids who end up getting it fit properly, and they say basically, "Oh, that's so much better. This isn't so
Yeah,
bad. I don't mind
right.
wearing a helmet."
Do you think that's the main reason kids resist wearing helmets?
It's funny for me to answer this question because actually my father, who also did personal injury work, insisted that me and my brother back in the 80s wear bike helmets, and we hated it. We hated it so much because it was dorky, right? That's how
Hmm.
we thought. We thought it, made us stand out, and we actually did get made fun of by some kids. I think we've come a long way in terms of helmets being accepted, and
Yeah.
people just understanding that it doesn't matter really how they look. The purpose is what makes them cool, so to speak.
Yes.
So I still see though kids think that the helmet is something they don't need to wear all the time, or they just don't like wearing it. And I try to tell my kids, hey, you can have fun riding a bike, if you have a helmet on or if you don't have a helmet on. But the key is if you have the helmet on and something goes wrong, it's going to protect you. So just think of it as being something that is cool, if you want to use that word, because it protects you and it makes sure that if anything goes wrong on a bike, at least you're going to have a chance with a head injury.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do we get the parents to help change that vibe too?
It has to be an absolute rule. I mean, if you think about it, we don't have a law regarding seatbelts that says that you can wear your seatbelt some days of the week, or you don't need to wear your seatbelt if you're just, going to the store 5 minutes away. It's that if you get in a car, you put your seatbelt on. If
Right.
you get on a bike, you put your helmet on. And I really think that it's one of those rules that needs to be absolute. And in my experience as a parent, if you don't make it absolute, then it's just this slippery slope, if you will, in terms of, okay, dad, I don't need to wear it now. I'm just going down the street. I'm just doing this. It needs to be an absolute rule.
I agree. So this event has been around for a long time. I've talked to you about it a few times in the past. How long has Lids for Kids been happening here?
According to Lids for Kids history, so to speak, this is our 23rd year, and we have given away more than 14,000 bike helmets.
That's incredible. That's huge. That's probably prevented a lot of injury. I'm sure many parents appreciate that. Brain injuries, though, can be hard to visualize. When you talk about it, what do you think it looks like for those families?
Yeah, well, we have so many clients who've suffered some form of brain injury. So when you do this line of work and you represent injured people, you see how brain injuries can come about in so many different ways. And one thing I'll emphasize here is that the viewer should understand that a brain injury can happen even if the person doesn't lose consciousness. A brain injury can happen even if the person goes to the hospital and they get scans of their head and the hospital says you're okay for now. Brain injuries can happen really in an invisible sense, or at least invisible to us. The brain is such a complex network of neurons that, if disrupted by trauma, can affect the person in all sorts of subtle but significant ways. So the thing about brain injuries is that when people have head trauma, they need to take it really seriously and really be in touch with how they're feeling. Their loved ones need to keep their eye on them. And if you're on a bike with a bike helmet, the bike helmet is there to protect against a catastrophic injury.
Hmm.
But if you fall off a bike and hit your head, even with a helmet on, you can definitely sustain a brain injury, even if the
Hmm.
hospital says you don't have one.
Right.
So if you have head trauma on a bike, you need to make sure that you and your family is looking at you for the next couple days to make sure that you're okay.
It's a true community effort, and I know that there are a lot of people that back this up. Who's involved behind the scenes?
I really want to take the opportunity here to thank and credit the unbelievable efforts of people here at my firm. And that would definitely include our marketing director, Dana Lawrence, our digital marketing specialist, Delaney Morgenstern. Both of those two individuals have been working really hard to make this particular event this year a success. So uh, definitely credit and thanks to them. We have several other people at our firm who are volunteering and helping out. And then, the list of partners I went through earlier in this interview, people at all those places, companies, entities, however you want to describe them, they've all been enthusiastic and help spread the word. And like I said, they're making sure that their people come and volunteer. So the list of people we could thank is really quite long.
Yeah, it's such an impressive event. And so I know those community partners are crucial to its success. And it's, again, like we said earlier, it speaks a lot to the event that so many people are still involved and that it's growing and growing. But this is also a business podcast. So, what would you say to business owners about how this community involvement can support the long-term strategy and can support the success?
Yeah, so with respect to how this feels as a business, you can look at events like this and say, okay, does it tie to your, business goals?
Hmm.
But you can also just look at it like, does serving your community make you feel good? It's as simple as that. And, there are all kinds of ways in which our injury work, makes us, feel really passionate about giving away bike helmets. So we're doing it because we see the difference these helmets make in injury cases. But just in general, getting out there in the Lansing community as spring is finally coming our way, it looks like with the weather as we expect it to turn here in the next couple of weeks, it just feels good. So it feels good to know that your business is taking its time, effort, and money and supporting something that's a good cause and that gives people in the Lansing area a fun event to attend. And
Absolutely.
that's what we hope it'll be on May 16th. And when it's all said and done, I'm happy we're doing it as a business just simply because it feels good. So I'd say to
Yeah.
any business, if you're not doing stuff within your community, try it out. And I think it'll feel good and you'll want to do more of it.
And that all ties in nicely to a great milestone for the firm. It's celebrating 75 years. So let's talk a little bit about how Lids for Kids fits into that story.
Yeah, well, the firm was started in 1951 by my grandfather, Thomas G. Sinas, and his best friend, Lee Dramus. They both had experiences in their life where they wanted to make a difference for people, and in particular, people with injuries and disabilities. So, in their own right, they supported those causes. And Lee Dramus became a very well-known personal injury lawyer here in Lansing. And he then was joined by other lawyers. And eventually the second generation of lawyers in the 70s joined the firm. And the personal injury practice, really just further grew from there and, became recognized across the state as leaders in personal injury law. But what was really important to us in doing that kind of work is to make sure that we do it the right way, that we don't make it about, money per se, but it's about advocacy. It's about making sure that we serve our clients the right way. And it's about advocating for the causes that we know are going to make a difference for injured people. And so this Lids for Kids event came about because we know advocating for people to wear a bike helmet and giving them bike helmets so they don't have to pay for them is going to help them in the event that they suffer an unfortunate injury on a bicycle in the future. So the event ties into our mission to advocate for not just our clients, but for causes that help reduce injury, help promote safety, and hopefully help prevent catastrophic and serious injuries into the future.
Right. I know we've talked on several occasions, and it's always been advocating for a cause that you feel deeply about or educating about those causes, just like our recent AI conversation on protecting the people. And so that's a big part of what you do. And I just wanted to congratulate you on the 75 years and all the community service the firm has done. The bike safety is a big part of the prevention and service you give to the community. So let's share a checklist for parents as we head towards the event, Lids for Kids at Francis Park. Something they'll remember, a great way to, keep these things in mind.
Yeah, so with regard to bike safety, it begins with that absolute rule of always wear your helmet and just tell your child that is a non-negotiable rule. Tell your child it's a rule that's based on love. You have the rule because you love that child more than anything and you want to protect that child from injury where you can. So the bike helmet rule needs to be an absolute rule. And then a few other pointers. It's always good to tell your kids, and this is a pretty harsh point, but I actually say this to my kids. People driving cars don't notice you and they're not really caring about you because they're probably going about something in their own life and they're just distracted. They might be looking on their phone. So just assume that cars aren't going to see you. And that means that kids have to be proactive in looking out for cars and making sure that they're not just riding their bike thinking that a car is going to hit them. They're riding their bike in a way so that they get out of the way of cars. And the other one is not just at intersections with roads, but driveways. Always be on the lookout for cars coming. Don't assume if you're just driving down a sidewalk or riding down a sidewalk and you're passing a driveway or an alleyway that it's okay just to go. If you're crossing any type of driveway, roadway, or alley, slow down as you approach and to some reasonable slow speed so that you can assess before you proceed. I've had too many cases where kids are hit because of a car backing out of a driveway, coming out of an alleyway. So I think those three rules, absolute rule on helmet wearing, along with making sure your kid looks at cars as not noticing them so that they have to take action to avoid cars, and to make sure your kid is always able to assess any type of crossway in their path of travel at a rate of speed that allows them to stop in the event that there's a vehicle coming out.
That's such a great reminder for everyone, especially to don't assume because you can see the car that it can see you. Because you're right, we're so distracted these days from music to phones, and it's just super serious that they follow that rule. And I really like that. I'm going to use that with my grandchild. What about drivers? Because as we said, they're not paying attention.
Yeah, so drivers, pay attention, get off your phones, understand that you think you can see things just fine, that you'll notice things. But bicyclists, they can blend in. Kids in particular, they're not that big. So you might think you're seeing things and you just don't. So obviously, pay attention. But I feel like that's something that really deserves to be emphasized these days as I see so many distracted drivers. And then a couple more specific points. Really take caution on the right-hand turn where you think you don't have to stop really, or you have to stop and then but you can go if it's a red light. And then you look at the roadway in front of you and you say, oh, there's no reason why I can't take the right turn. Well, if you don't look all the way to the right before you turn right, you're going to miss the bicyclist who's coming down that sidewalk and is not thinking that you're about to turn. So we've had a lot of right-hand turn cases where bicyclists are hit because the driver of the car might be looking left to see if they can go right, but they don't turn their head all the way to the right to make sure there's not a pedestrian or a bicyclist coming up on them. And the other one is that if you are passing a bicyclist, give that bicyclist as much room as you can. There have been cases where people think that they were passing, but they didn't give the bicyclist enough room. Maybe the bicyclist, went into the roadway a little bit as the pass was happening. So if there's no reason why, you can't go further out in the roadway, give the bicyclist the space that makes it absolutely as safe as possible.
Great advice. Before we wrap up, what else do you want people to remember? What's the key takeaway today?
Well, the key takeaway is attend Lids for Kids because it's a great
Yes.
community event. If you have kids, grandkids, and they need bike helmets, then come out and get a free bike helmet. Even if you don't need a free bike helmet, come out because we're going to have all types of fun things going on at this event. It's free. It's supposed to be good weather, knock on wood, as we look further into the forecast. So it's an event to celebrate our community, bring out spring and warm weather. And we just want people to have a good time promoting safety at the same time.
Absolutely. And a reminder that it has moved this year to Francis Park.
Yes, Saturday, May 16th, 10 a.m. to noon at Francis Park. I will also emphasize that it's best to get there early so that you can get in line for the helmets, and that way you won't have to wait as long and you have more time to enjoy the event rather than wait in line and get your helmet fitted as all the other fun stuff is going on. So try to get there shortly before 10 a.m. and make sure that you follow the signs around Francis Park about where to park. But yeah, Francis Park, it's going to be a great event with a lot of different things going on.
Fantastic. And where can we get more information?
Lids for Kids MI. That's LIDSFORKIDSMI.org. The whole website dedicated to the event.
We will look forward to it. Thank you so much for your time today. And again, for all you do for the community. And once again, congratulations on 75 years.
Thanks so much. It's great to be with you.
Thanks for listening to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Get to know local businesses better by reading 517 Business Magazine. Get your subscription at 517mag.com/subscribe.